I'm going to show you how to pipe these lovely little pom-pom dahlias. You've got lots of petals on here and they've all got this sort of tubular shape to them that are interlocking each other, so you've got lots of texture, lots of detail. They're really pretty ones to add to your bouquets. The colour I've used for the buttercream to make this soft peach is a tiny little bit of Colour Splash Coral. It's one of my favourite colours. And then for the very centres I've used Pro Gel Olive Green. The piping tip I'm using for the petals is an Atiko number 61. It's this really small crescent shape piping tip. You've got a fat end and a slightly thinner end, and it's that thinner end that you want on the outside because that creates the up curl of the petal and the delicate edges. For the centre here I've just got some olive green buttercream and I've snipped off about 5mm off the end of a piping bag. And then to fill in the centre details, this is a number 81. It's a really tiny little smile shaped piping tip, and the shape of this tip makes the centre petals look like they've got a tubular shape going on as well, so it ties in nicely with the rest of the flower. So give your cupcake a crumb coat with the colour that you're going to use for the petals. Take up the number 61, push all the buttercream down to the bottom and make sure your bag's nice and tight. That's how you control what comes out the end of the bag. And you also want to make sure that you've got this thin end of the tip pointing towards the outside of the cupcake. Have a piece of paper towel handy because you want to keep your piping tip clean at all times when you're layering petals. So hold the cake however it's comfortable for you so you can see what you're doing and you're piping comfortably. I'm going to line up the edge of the tip with the edge of the cupcake case, and this way I know where to start my petals so that it's coming to the edge but it's not going too far over. I'm going to turn my wrist and pipe a teardrop shaped petal, stop and come off. Now I'm going to space the next one so I won't come right next to it and move over a little bit, so you can line up the piping tips so you know where to start. So squeeze round into a teardrop shape and then stop and come off. So touch, squeeze round in a teardrop, stop and come off. You can see the edges of the petals are curling upwards, so it gives it that tubular look. So I'm turning my wrist, line up your piping tip, squeeze out a teardrop shape, stop and come off. Turn the cake, turn your wrist, pipe a teardrop, stop and come off. You go all the way round. And when you get to this last bit, you can either put two little ones in or one slightly larger one, whatever fills the gap the best. And then just clean off your piping tip if you've got any buttercream on there. Make sure your bag's nice and tight. And get it comfortable. And then I'm going to come in between each petal. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing now, but I'm going to make them slightly smaller so that I can come exactly between each petal. So come in a little bit and do exactly the same thing. Pipe a little teardrop shape. So you've left a bit of a gap towards the edge. The petals are a little bit smaller and you can go round and create lots of texture. So touch, wipe that bit off. So I'm going to touch the cake, pipe a little teardrop shape, stop and come off. And you can see I'm really moving my wrist around to get the shape of the petals. And every time you pipe a petal, turn the cake so that your piping hand is always in the same comfortable place for you. Then when you've gone all the way round, wipe off your piping tip. Make sure your bag's nice and tight still. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to come between each of these petals and I'm going to make them a little bit smaller. But because you've already got buttercream on there, the angle of your piping tip is naturally going to come up a little bit. So just follow what you've already put on there. And again, come in between each petal. So now they're even smaller. As you can see, I'm not having to turn my wrist as much to get that teardrop shape. And I'm just coming in from the last layer of petals very slightly, so we're building towards the center. Last one, and I'll just give my piping tip a little wipe off here. If you don't wipe the piping tip off with buttercream on it and it gets caught on the petals you've already put on, you're just going to spoil the work you've already done. So you do want to have that piece of paper towel. Make sure your tip's always clean. And then for the last layer, exactly the same thing, but the tip's coming even more upright now. And the petals are even smaller. So I'm really just sort of going up and down with these ones. And that curve on the end of the piping tip naturally creates a little curve to the top of the petals, so they look like they're curling upwards, like the pom-pom dahlias do. So it gets a bit tight when you get to the end. So last one. So there's 4 layers of petals on. Now I'm going to take up my green buttercream, and I've just snipped about 1/2 centimetre off the end of the bag. Make sure it's nice and tight. And I'm going to come into the center, touch down on the cake, and just squeeze out a small blob of green to build up some center petals around. So it's only a small little blob. I've not come all the way to fill up that center. I've just put a little one in the middle because we're going to put some of these petals around it. So this is the 81 tip, and you want this little dip in the tip to be in the center. So we're going to use that to create the center. So we'll start off coming over, and then as we go round, we're going to move the angle of the tip outwards so we join up the center with the petals. So you want to make sure the buttercream's pushed down to the bottom and your bag's nice and tight, and that you've got that little crescent dip in the middle. We're going to pull some petals over the green, so just touch down on the bottom of that green blob, squeeze, pull up a petal, and just pull it over towards the center of the flower. Turn the cake And put in another one. And I'm letting a little bit of the green show in the middle, just for a little bit of added detail. So there's one layer. I'm going to put another layer of petals looking like they're coming over the center of that blob. So I'm just touching the buttercream that's already there and pulling up really small petals and angling them inwards. And now I'm going to turn the tip outwards a little bit, so we're piping more sort of upright now. It's going to start to open the flower. So just little petals, angle them upwards, so the flower looks like it's opening out from the middle. And I'm just touching about halfway up the buttercream that I've already put on there. So I'm not going right down to the cake. As long as the buttercream sticks to the buttercream that's already there, your petal will anchor. Now I'm coming in between each little petal, and the angle's coming even more outwards now, so I'm joining up the center with the petals that are already on the cake. And I'm coming in between each one so they're all interlocking. Lots of detail and texture. And you can see how tiny these little squeezes are. I'm just filling in the gaps now, so as you turn the cake, if you see a little gap where a petal would look good, just squeeze a little one in until you're happy with how it looks. And there is your pom-pom dahlia, and they look great in any colour.